Hello, this is Tom, aka Gedeon here for Tabletop Tap Room, and today we're discussing NuTSRs, bankruptcy, debts, creditors, and Chapter 7 bankruptcy filing. This is the one from which you do not come back, where everything is sold off to pay the creditors what they can pay and move on. Although it may not be as simple as some people had thought who had initiated this. But let's take a look at the publicly available court records and review the revenues of NuTSR. Now, this is from one document I downloaded from Pacer. And in here we have gross revenues from business. I thought we should just review this because it gives us a little scale, and this might be important a little bit later in the video. First off, we have for the filing date of from 1/1/2023 to today, they have made gross revenue $621.93. So in 6 months, they've averaged $100 a month. Is what they've been bringing in. Now, I was just taunted by a profile on YouTube that I believe to be Justin, and in that profile, they claimed that TSR is a powerhouse, making $100 a month. Okay. For last year, 2022, the gross revenue was $11,383.63. The gross revenue for 2021 was $17,864.89. So these are these are official. Justin has signed his name to these. These are true and accurate records. We can believe them. And we're going to take them at face value. We may come back to these. You can see on the next page there, we'll blow it up a little bit. He has listed 3 legal actions that he has going. One with Wizards of the Coast, one with Eric Stina, and then the third lawsuit that we forget about. We forget about this one is still pending, and it's the civil cancellation of the trademarks that he squatted on, and then he filed to get them canceled. Because he's squatting on them, he doesn't really own them. So that is pending in the U.S. Postal and Trademark Office, Patent and Trademark Office. So that is still pending. Now, here we have the creditors document. And first up, we see the IRS is a creditor, listed 0 amount. That is because we do not know how much he's going to owe. North Carolina Department of Revenue, 0 amount, because we don't know how much is going to be owed. And then Wisconsin Department of Revenue, 0 amount. So he's listing these. So you try to wipe out the debts in the bankruptcy and looking to skate, even though I don't know that TSR LLC is the one who is responsible for these debts. Now, what I had heard is that there had been reports made and investigations started by the IRS, Department of Revenue in Wisconsin, Department of Revenue in North Carolina. But I was having great difficulty confirming those. I believed the source. I absolutely believed the source, but I was looking to confirm those. Now, I look at this listing of the IRS and then Department of Revenue for North Carolina and Wisconsin as confirmation that these investigations are going on. I had certain sources that had said, yes, these are going on. I could not get any of those organizations to admit that these investigations were going on, but they've been included in this filing, in this legal document. And I'm going to take this to mean that these organizations have contacted Justin to let him know that they are investigating these incidences concerning tax fraud that were alleged against him and NuTSR. And so that is why they are being included in here. So this becomes kind of a admission, well, not necessarily an admission of guilt on Justin's part, but it is an admission that these investigations are going on. So this is my final hard and fast confirmation. These investigations are going on. Next up in our list of creditors is Eric Steen. The claim amount is $0, but that claim amount will actually be whatever he pays for legal fees for this SLAPP lawsuit, because the SLAPP laws in New York State state that if you bring a strategic litigation against public participation, which is what this lawsuit is against Eric, then you must pay, and it's dismissed, you must pay his legal fees. So whatever his sum total of legal fees are, that is what Eric is going to get, and maybe more. I don't know how the courts work. I don't know if there might be a penalty added on. I don't know how the judge is going to rule here, but at the very least, the law states he gets all of his legal fees paid for by Justin Lanasa. Now, it's actually rather interesting because TSR is not the only entity cited in this lawsuit. It's actually Justin Lanasa and Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum and TSR. So if TSR goes bankrupt and ceases to exist, that just leaves Justin Lanasa and Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum holding the bag. So one of the ironies is that Eric Steen could end up owning Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, and that would be a very delicious irony indeed. Now, the next creditor is Hardwire Tattoo LLC. Hardwire Tattoo LLC is actually owned by none other than Justin William Lanasa, and apparently Justin William Lanasa authorized Hardwire Tattoo loaning a promissory note of $190,000, $190,622.06 as a promissory note. That is a lot of cash to loan to a company that only has revenues of less than $17,000 a year. How long would it take a company with $17,000 a year to pay back a promissory note of $190,000? Next up is IMX Law Group, attention Dana J. Christensen Esquire. This is his lawyer in Washington State who's defending him in the WotC lawsuit in federal court. And apparently he's on the hook to her for $21,662.50 attorney fees in the declaratory action. So, she hasn't been getting her retainer. So apparently the Washington lawyer has not been getting her retainer filled promptly, and he is in debt to her for $21,000. Next up, oh my God, somebody named Justin William Lanasa and let's pay attention because there's a lot of Justin Lanasas out there. For example, there is a Justin Lanasa who is a sex offender who is currently, I believe, incarcerated in the North Carolina correction system. This is not our Justin Lanasa. So there's a lot of Justin Lanasas out there, and we need to make sure that we identify the correct Justin Lanasa in all of this. So as we go back to our list of creditors here, and let's just make a note. This is the Justin William Lanasa who lived. Okay. So just put that note in your head. And this Justin William Lanasa is owed back rent for 208 South Front Street, Wilmington, to the amount of $14,000. This is a month-to-month agreement between NuTSR And this particular Justin William Lanasa also owed to a Justin William Lanasa of is $14,000 back rent for 723 William Street. Now, this is the address for the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. So apparently, this Justin William Lanasa is authorized to collect rent for these two different addresses. And NuTSR has contracted with this Justin William Lanasa to pay rent month to month. We see that elsewhere in the document, that it's a month-to-month agreement for a furnished office, for a fully furnished office for NuTSR to operate out of those locations. And it pays month to month. And it currently owes $28,000, which is an oddity to me, that a company that brings in less than $20,000 a year in revenue, gross revenue, could actually enter into agreement to pay $28,000 in rent. It kind of boggles my mind a little bit that is actually possible. So moving on to other creditors, we have another, Justin William Lanasa. Which one? Let's identify him. Made a promissory note for money loaned advanced in the amount of $144,563.99 to TSR LLC. I find the amount so funny. 99 cents. Did he write a check or did he count out the pennies? So apparently the same Justin William Lanasa. Our next creditor is Lois Stina, aka Rachel. And this amount is zero because this is a pending lawsuit. The lawsuit, Justin's seeking $1 million in damages against Eric Stina. It's going nowhere, by the way. Then this one's really fascinating. I love this one right here. PNC Bank. And the debt that TSR owes to PNC Bank is overdraft fees of $93.44. I mean, we're talking a lawsuit of hundreds of thousands. We're talking a bankruptcy of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And Justin couldn't pay his overdraft fees. I mean, who doesn't? Everybody can pay it's $100. Just pay the $100. Seriously. He's trying to wipe out $100 worth of overdraft fees and not pay it. It's so ridiculous. $93.44 overdraft fees to PNC Bank. This is the one that amuses me the most out of this entire thing. And then finally, Wizards of the Coast is listed as a creditor for zero amount because that's pending litigation and they would be a creditor. This is probably going to be in the neighborhood of $500,000, maybe more, just in legal fees, because they have a high-priced corporate law firm. And so this ain't going to be cheap. So just in the legal fees, let alone damages, this one's substantial. So those are the creditors. Then there are some out, and the total amount is $384,941.99. Now, let me bring up another document. I did this little play card so we could keep track of it. So here's the creditors: IRS, North Carolina Department of Revenue, Wisconsin Department of Revenue, Eric Steen. And Lois Steen. And then so Hardwire Tattoo, IMX Law Group, Dana Christensen, Justin Lanasa, 5 creditor, and Justin Lanasa. So all the creditors are listed here, and the total amount is $384,941.99. That is a hefty amount of debt for a company that in its best year has only made $17,000 revenue. gross. So that is a lot of debt. But you know what? What's really fascinating about that is most of the creditors here are actually Justin Lanasa. So I've highlighted in green all of the creditors that are Justin Lanasa because Hardwire Tattoo is owned by Justin Lanasa. So we have Hardwire Tattoo, the three, we got back rent, and then a promissory loan by Justin Lanasa. And the total owed of that $384,941.99, the total owed to Justin is $363,186.05. That's a difference of $21,755.94 owed to other people. You know, you have to wonder if 94.35% of this is the company owing money to itself, basically. Why is it declaring bankruptcy? Oh, well, that is really an interesting question, isn't it? This filing, the payment to the lawyer for this filing. Now, the fascinating thing here is this is Butler and Butler is the firm that prepared this bankruptcy, prepared the bankruptcy filing. And they were first paid a $500 retainer on 5/3/2023. And this is about the same time that the URLs on all of the social media for TSR, Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, and the TSR websites all began to be changed. And they've all been changed to things like OSR, Old School Rules Games, and Dungeon Hobby Shop, dropping Museum. I think it was Museum that was dropped. And so at the same time that he decided to file for bankruptcy, he changed all the OSR, all the URLs, and moved stuff around. And yet he's the biggest creditor. So it seems like a shell game is being played here, but I don't know. This is a summary of the assets of the company. The total assets are $0.0. There's no real property. There's no personal property. Total of all property is $0. The total of liabilities, $384, as we discussed. And going through the document, there are no deposits. A company that has revenue coming in has no deposits. So no deposits. A company that has revenue coming in and is selling games has no accounts receivable. None. Does the debtor own any investments? It owns no investments. Does the debtor own any inventory? Exclusionary of agricultural assets. So does it have any inventory? A company that prints games and books and sells them has no inventory. It also has, you have to check the box, no farming and fishing related assets. Office furniture, fixtures, equipment, and collectibles. Collectibles. Nope, none. They've all been. Now, there was a $15,000 collection of RPG collectibles that was purchased by NuTSR and Justin Lanasa. And I'm going to just guarantee that has just been shifted over to the property of Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. But pretty sure, I'm pretty sure it was purchased by Justin Lanasa. I could be wrong. But I'm also equally certain he's checked the box no here because he doesn't want to give that up, and he's moved that asset over. Machinery, equipment, and vehicles. He's checked no. So the TSR Hobbies does not own a vehicle, which is good because they couldn't pay for it. They make less than, on a good year, $17,000 in revenue. And then real property, no real property, intangibles and intellectual property. Now, they do have tangibles and intellectual property, and these are all trademarks, word marks, art logos, and these are all listed as valued at $0. Who wants to own the NuTSR name after this? So I buy that it is worth $0. But it's all been listed, but these are intangibles. And yet this company that only this year has made $100 a month has agreed to pay $28,000 in rent. $28,000 in rent when it only makes $100 a month. And it has no office furniture to go in those locations. It has no company vehicle to park outside of those locations. It has no inventory to maintain. It has no collection, no collectibles. We don't believe that, but yet this company has agreed to pay $28,000. That makes no sense. So if the sale of any of these things accrue any money, obviously Justin's hoping to get paid before the other creditors. He's hoping to get a piece of that. That's why he's listed himself as creditor. Now, we made such a big issue about Justin W. William Lanasa Road of Wilmington, North Carolina, being the debtor, the creditor who lent money and is due back rent on 2 different locations. Because I find it interesting that the biggest creditor is the same Justin William Lanasa of Road, who is the manager with 100% interest in the company of this NuTSR that is going bankrupt. So the biggest creditor, owed all this money, and some of it seems a little suspect, is also the manager who's been pissing it all away. Frivolously, clearly. What have you been spending all the money on, Justin? So the biggest creditor is also the manager. And the company's been so mismanaged, it's taken in $300,000 in promissory notes and credit. Only made $17,000 on a good year. I mean, all told, less than $30,000 in 3 years. So $30,000 in 3 years, and they've accrued over $300,000 in debt in 3 years. The management skills here are just stunning, absolutely stunning. Chapter 7 is about wiping the slate clean and walking away. They're going to sell everything off, which is no assets, worth nothing. There's not even a deposit. There's not even a bank account with money in it of those promissory notes extended by Hardwire and Justin William Lanasa. You know, the money's gone. It's just disappeared. The D&D sprites and fairies made off with it, I guess. Who knows? Now, what are the takeaways here? Well, my first takeaway here is the Washington lawyer has been turned into a creditor, and the chase is on for her to get her money. How does that impact the WotC lawsuit? Justin is no longer going to be able to pursue his lawsuit because he no longer will have a lawyer who's going to represent him. Lawyers don't work for free. Well, yeah, there's that pro bono thing, but I don't think she agreed to, pro bono representation. So his lawsuit is done. And what lawyer in Washington State is going to take the case? You've declared bankruptcy and not paid your bill to the previous lawyer. So what lawyer is going to take his money without a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 retainer? Deposit the retainer now. When the check clears, I'll start representing you. Nobody's going to do that. He's going to have to sell a property in Wilmington and deposit $50,000 or more as a retainer for a lawyer. His case is done. His case is done. The WotC case can proceed against him and probably will. It's been suggested to me that WotC will hire a forensic CPA to follow the money. That should be interesting to watch and follow. But certainly this Dana Christensen Esquire, I think her name was, is out $21,000. And I don't think those TSR trademarks are going to sell for $21,000. I certainly don't think Justin Lanasa should get, since he was managing the money and pissed it all away, should get any money from any sale of any property owned by NuTSR, the limited intangible properties that they claim to own, which may not prove out when the court cases are done. The court cases are most likely going to go against him, and he won't own anything. So those most of those trademarks, word marks, will end up being nothing and worth nothing, and the art logos will be worth nothing. So not any money that comes out of this from the sale of anything most likely should not go to Justin anyways. It should go to real creditors who are out money. Now, what should people do who have ordered and purchased product, or were the pre-orders that helped this whole thing get started off back in 2021? The pre-orders on Dungeon Crawl, the pre-orders on Cult of Abaddon. What should these people do? They're completely out. If they've not done a chargeback already, when this bankruptcy finalizes, that's it. Slate is wiped clean. You can't do a thing. You technically are a creditor. You're owed. You're owed money by NuTSR. You're owed a gain by NuTSR. They used your money fraudulently, I believe, to get the game printed and never sent you your pre-order. Instead, sold them off to get their biggest payday. Well, no, their second biggest payday, because the revenue for 2022 was $11,000. So that, they were doing $1,000 a month off of the game that you pre-ordered, invested in with a pre-order so it could get published, and they never provided you your game. You are a creditor. You should consider contacting the trustee. This is the trustee listed in the bankruptcy filing who will be overseeing it. So his name is John C. Bircher. This is contact information. I will put a link to this webpage in the show notes. If you're watching this and you're saying, yeah, I should do something. If nothing else, if enough people are calling in and saying, I'm a creditor, I'm an unlisted creditor, I want to be added, that can actually slow down this bankruptcy quite a bit and force an investigation into the shenanigans that have gone on here. And there probably should be an investigation into the shell game and moving. Where's the inventory? Where's the $15,000 RPG collection with a whole bin? Okay, rumor has it a whole bin of white box OD&D sets. a whole bin of them. Where is that? Those could sell for money, and some creditors could get their money. So there should be an investigation, and there needs to simply be enough people who are owed, who have not been listed, should call in and say, wait a minute, I've been defrauded. There's been fraud. He's been hiding assets. He's been hiding, and I want to be listed, because I believe it's July 24th. There's a creditor meeting by Zoom. Any of the creditors can be present in that Zoom meeting, and they're going to get to ask questions of the manager of TSR. That manager would be Justin William Lanasa, and he's going to have to answer those questions. And I think that would be an interesting thing to see go down. I would like to be a fly on the wall in that Zoom call. So I encourage you, if you have purchased Dungeon Crawl and still have not received it after 18 months, you're not going to receive it. He's got his deputy McSpice guy out selling them off, the second printing, at street fairs, trade shows, conventions. They're selling them off and pocketing the money. And the revenue they're showing for this year of only $600, I think it would be interesting to take the price of Dungeon Crawl and go look at all the pictures that Art McArt has posted and said, look, another happy customer. People love this game. And go, wait a minute. He's declaring this much revenue, but we see evidence that this many games have been sold. That's not adding up. So definitely, if you have not received your game, I really think you should call the trustee. So this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room. This is the tale of bankruptcy, revenue, loans, debt, shell games, moving stuff around, companies that make about $100 a month, paying $28,000 in rent, agreeing to $28,000, and the landlord letting it slide so that the rent piles up. You haven't paid. And he has access to how much revenue they make. He knows how much revenue is coming in, so he knows they can't pay that rent. And yet it's a month-to-month agreement, and he continues to let it slide. Let it slide. What's going on there? What's going on with that? There's a shell game being done. All the URLs to social media have been changed. This is an attempt to wipe the slate clean, slip out from liabilities to WotC, to Eric, to PNC Bank. Pay your overdraft fee, dude. I mean, come on, stop being such a loser. Just pay the damn overdraft fee. That what cracks me up. Who can't pay their overdraft fee? That one just makes me shake my head. To his lawyer, who has certainly represented him in the case against WotC and is out $21,000. So he's looking to cut ties, cut losses, and flip the middle finger bird at everybody and go, nah. And meanwhile, while this whole shell game is going on, this moving of assets, claiming to not have assets, claiming zero money left, all gone, it's all gone, $300,000 pissed away in 3 years, which I believe that's possible. The piss, Mr. I eat meat, I live high on the hog. I believe it's possible for him to have pissed away $300,000. Meanwhile, while he's trying to wipe the slate clean, wash his hands of the matter, and walk away clean, what's going on right now? This was discovered, and the names of the person's been blocked out, but so-and-so is with Justin Lanasa and 2 other. Weekend fund with my bestie and family. And these are pictures from their vacation. He's on vacation. He's on vacation. He's pissed away $300,000 has his company declaring bankruptcy, and meanwhile, he's on vacation. Great job, Justin. You are the businessman of the year. Not. That is what's going on. And if you're owed anything by this individual, I would look to cover your bases now before the end of July comes around. So that's the sordid tale of bankruptcy at NuTSR, that he's wiping the slate clean to duck responsibilities for all of the lawsuits that he initiated. He initiated those lawsuits. He is responsible for them being in place. He is responsible for all the lawyer fees he's trying to duck out of. He is responsible for all of that going down, and it's going against him. So he's looking to hide stuff, move stuff, change the names of social media and move things around, cut ties, walk away clean, and just keep right on going as OSR, Old School Gaming, and Dungeon Hobby Shop. Or is it Hobby Shop Museum? Forget what is changing the name to the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum to, but he's looking to make a clean break and move on. And I don't think he should be allowed. I think people should call him on it, and enough people should call in to the trustee and make sure that the trustee is aware that there's more fraud going on than is seen just in the documents there. Because those documents, I don't know, that seems fraudulent to me, that his biggest creditor is himself, and yet he's the 100% controlling manager. And he's pissed away all that money, and I'm going to just declare bankruptcy and move on. It just seems wrong to me. So this is Tom from Tabletop Tap Room updating you on the NuTSR bankruptcy. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And keep on gaming, just not with NuTSR product.